Hello everybody and welcome to the first new video in what is currently named Next Gen Halo, a new YouTube channel I am doing all about Halo Infinite news, gameplay, leaks, rumors, etc. But today we have news. The newest Inside Infinite blog just came out. This is the February 2021 version. The last two posts they talked about included the art, the graphics, and the live teams, and then the sandbox team. And in the future, next month, they'll be going over the audio team, and in April, they're going to be talking with the PC team. However, this month's blog is going to be on Zeta Halo and the environment that we are going to be playing in Halo Infinite. And we're going to start here with some images. First off, they opened this blog up with concept art of Zeta Halo. Nothing too special here, but if we go into the next one, we have concept art of a interior banished building. Kind of interesting to look at. I almost confused some of it for UNSC art at that point until I read the caption to this image, and of course the red glowing lights. Now this next one's really interesting. This is concept art of a banished stronghold, which apparently can be approached from any direction and with more tactical options than prior Halo games. So this is going to be a different sort of environment that you can put under siege and take over throughout the campaign. And we have another image of that coming up in just a second. Next up, we have this in-game image of Master Chief and two Marines driving in this beautiful landscape. And can I just say, this looks so much better than the July 2020 demo that they showed off. It's even the same lighting with the sunset too, and it just looks really good. Now, there's some things you can notice here. These, first of all, this Forerunner architecture looks really cool. It looks like a complete mix of 343i and Bungie. There's no floating parts like you see in Halo 4 and 5, but it does have a little bit more shine like they have in like 343's Forerunner stuff has. However, it's very grounded and just very shapely, if I can say that. It's just very geometric, and that is a very that's a Bungie callback right there. There's also some grime on the side of the texture, so it's not completely pristine. There's some age on this thing. There's a couple other little details you can find in the background too. In the very back, beneath the little structure, you can see a little bit of the hexagon pillars. You know, it's not an amazing look, but you don't really see a lot of these hexagon pillars in any of the images they released in this blog post. So I don't know if you can get a better look at how they've upgraded the visuals on those things, but here's an environment that doesn't have all those hexagon pillars like we saw in July. There is also a big ship in the distance, way off in the horizon, and you can actually see it in another image too, which makes me believe that that's actually a place you can go to, which is incredibly far away. And I can't tell if that's... I imagine that's a banished ship. I don't think UNSC has any flying ships on the Halo ring, considering they all got blown into bits. And I don't think that's some sort of Forerunner ship. I don't know if there's going to be some new faction or something with the Harbinger, or whatever that is. But that's a cool little ship. I imagine you'll be able to board it and kill everyone on it in the campaign. Now, one more thing is that there's this Halo 2 Ascension-like communication disc. Obviously, a lot bigger in the distance in front of the ship. That's just kind of a cool callback to designs of the past. Next image is really cool. It actually shows us one of those beam emitters that you see all the way back in the second mission of Halo Combat Evolved. An iconic imagery of Halo, of classic Halo, in the Forerunner architecture, and it looks really good. It, again, a mix of the 343i material with some extra grime on it, but the rough geometric shape of the Bungie designs. Looking really good. Now, I want to take a moment to look at the foliage here and the rocks, because can I just say, not only does it look really good, the colors just look really good. They talk about this later on in the blog post, but they said that it is inspired by the Pacific Northwest, and I can see that here. And these colors, the deep greens of the trees and the grass, and then that gray rock, is not actually a color scheme we've seen in Halo in like years. You know, Halo 5 had us traversing like saying Helios and molten planets and ice planets. No just forested areas. And Halo 4 had us in Requiem, which either had dark purple rocks when you're in the interior Requiem or barren sandy deserts. You know, no forested areas there. And even Reach, you know, Reach was kind of barren too. It was very gray. This is a sort of color scheme you haven't seen since Halo 3. Also in this first image, you can see animals, or what appears to be animals, hiding in the grass way back there. Not sure what those are, but there's another little look at animals. Now, this actually shows off the different time of day changes, which I'm actually really impressed. You know, every single one of these time of day images looks cool. If you showed me any single one of these images, I'd say, okay, that's like a cool wallpaper even. Just the color, just the way the colors pop in different spots, each as the sun moves throughout the sky. Now, the clouds in the background, I'm not a huge fan of, obviously, but I can tell they are dynamic moving clouds. And I know that's a technological feat. It's hard to make those look good. But just compared to the background skybox of the stars in the background, which looks incredible, you know, the clouds don't look great, but for what they're doing, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to be spending my Halo Infinite time looking up at the clouds the whole time. Now, interesting, something of note here with the nighttime photo is that you can actually see some enemies standing in the tower that you couldn't see in the daytime image. Whether or not they moved there at night or they come out at night, that remains to be seen. It appears to be a jackal in the front, maybe an elite or a brute farther back, I can't tell, and then something else up in the tower itself. There's also some sort of light on a tripod or some sort of weird UNSC-looking camp on the far right of this image. I don't see that in the previous image, so I'm not entirely sure what that is. Here's another cool image. We're looking at the sniper rifle here for the first time in first person. You can see the new scope, or maybe the oldest scope if you want to call it that. It looks like it'll have that light up display where you like the thermal imagery. Not sure though. It looks kind of like it supports that. But of course, let's acknowledge the elephant in the sky, or the monolith. I don't know what this is called. I don't know if it's ever been revealed yet. In the July demo, they talk about the auditorium. I don't know if this is it, but you see this structure in a lot of Halo Infinite art and in-game images and just release promo images. So I don't know if this is the auditorium. I'm just going to call it the monolith for now because that's kind of what it is. It towers over everything else. And you can see the structures around it look almost like the Halo Reach forge pieces of their little Forerunner architecture. There's a little neat imagery callback there. Other things of note is that you have a motion scanner range of 59 meters at this current moment. That could be an upgrade. And there also appears to be a little compass. There's an arrow that I assume points north. On the right side of the screen, you could see besides the sniper, it looks like he's also carrying what I believe is the Disruptor, a new banished weapon that hasn't been showcased in-game yet. It has only been seen in toys. And you can also see what appears to be a spike grenade pressed with the G button and an ability, I don't know what it is, with the Q button. And then there's also a second ability, it looks like. Our final in-game image to take a look at is this, 2 Banshees flying across a horizon. Now, again, can I just say I really love the way this game is looking out so far. It is a little dark for some reason. It seems like the sun is facing you, so I know you're kind of looking at the shaded side of everything, but it does look rather dark considering you're in pure daylight. I don't know. Maybe that's just the image or something. But anyways, you can see the design of the Banshees here, and they're actually more of a rounded design than you see in like Halo Wars 2 with the very rough spiky thing. Kind of has more of a, you can see there's something on the front, a little ramming metal piece on the front of it, and the tail kind of extends, but the top, the very top of the cockpit just has that round look to it that, you know, I'm a fan of personally. I know some people really like that blocky Banished design. I like the round design like this. You can see, however, at the bottom of the image, there's a banished stronghold that we talked about from earlier. That is how it looks in-game. Looks pretty close to the concept art there, and it's quite big. Looks like it's going to be a whole sort of mini-boss encounter like a scarab is. Also here, we got some red lights that you can see them throughout the landscape and going off into the distance. I don't know what they mean. Maybe they're just little banished camps or something along the way, but you can kind of see the extent of how big this map is. Also, you can see a structure near the stronghold on the right here. I can't really tell what it is. It's too dark to see, but that's just something else to note. There are the triangle gates moving up the ridge of that mountain, it appears, and we see those in a couple other previous Infinite screenshots, like the mini-map, or not really a mini-map, but the map from the July demo. There's also a mountain that has a floating pillar on it, which looks like a kind of a significant spot. And there's also a big Forerunner structure coming out of the ground right next to it. Looks like there's some other cool things going off in that distance. And, of course, finally, that big ship that I talked about at the very beginning. Back there, floating ominously in the sky, way off in the distance. And something of note here, you can't even see the monolith, the thing I was talking about earlier. That's not even in this image. So it's on the other side of the map. You got to turn fully around. There's a whole nother, we know that's probably not at the edge of the map. It's got to be in the middle somewhere. So just a huge map we're looking at here. I almost wonder if those triangle gates, they appear to go in the mountain and go curve up. I wonder if those are like that thing that Master Chief shoots through at the end of Halo 2 to get onto the Forerunner ship. If it's something like that, that'll launch you up into the monolith, and that's how you get inside. I don't know, that's just complete speculation. Now, they also revealed something really cool. This is actually new lore, new story, and it's a conversation between Halsey and Master Chief, and a third character that kind of sounds like Lasky, but I don't think it is. I think it's someone else. This is actually called, in the URL, it's actually called Halsey's Journal 1, so this might be one of the things you find around the map. So let's take a listen.
How many now?
16 systems shut down so far. Seemingly random locations. I'm attempting to lock her and the others out of the main...
You will not be able to stop her. She knows more about how this all works than, well, anyone.
Dr. Halsey.
John.
What's the plan?
The plan? Right now, we are in survival mode. Again. Cortana's message has spread across the galaxy. Most sentient AI are siding with her.
Against us?
Yes. But maybe not you. Tell me, John, what was the last thing she said to you?
She said, goodbye.
And there you have it. Some of the newest lore we get to see directly from Master Chief post Halo 5. That's actually really cool because it kind of reveals this, and other stuff they write in the blog that I will be detailing later on, reveals that, or confirms, shall I say, that Halo Infinite's not going to be completely ignoring the story of Halo 5. This is a direct continuation of the Created storyline, of how the Created took over the galaxy, and this is a direct result of that. So they talk about how most of the sentient AI in the galaxy are siding with Cortana against the UNSC, but not against Master Chief necessarily, and that Cortana might still have some of those feelings for Chief, and that it's a little hint that Chief might try to get close to Cortana, maybe to trap her or try to take her home. That ship he had in the trailer for Halo Infinite way back in 2019 actually said something similar to that, about how it was an AI containment chip. So maybe he's trying to get close enough to her to put her on a chip, trap her in the chip, and bring her back to the UNSC to be, I don't know, decommissioned or destroyed or interrogated even. Okay, let's now go into the text. Two themes for the campaign that they talked about are legacy and simplicity. Simplicity being they wanted to steer away from the noisy designs from Halo 5, which I'm sure people are happy to hear, and of course we've seen that in the designs they've shown off. Some of the core experiences they wanted to show in this campaign are super soldier, story-driven, and spiritual reboot. And we'll go into the spiritual reboot part in just a second. The environment was largely inspired by the Pacific Northwest, and they talk about how they drove around and got inspired by the locations around their office and their studios, which is in the Pacific Northwest. And that kind of contrasts and is mixed up with the sci-fi Forerunner structures that are all throughout the ring, and the Banished structures as well. Now, this is actually the same process they used to design St. Helios in Halo 5. They talk about going to Utah to get some of that deserty structures, and I think that's kind of a good thing to note because St. Helios was one of the best campaign locations of Halo 5. It's really fun to play in. They do a quick shout out to Silent Cartographer, and I just think that's kind of interesting to note because, again, I'm a huge fan of Halo Combat Evolved, and they are obviously talking about Combat Evolved a lot, and that just makes me happy. That makes me hope for the best for this campaign. They talk about how Halo Infinite begins with Chief in a Pacific Northwest forest biome, and they specifically use the word biome, and, you know, I'm just picturing sort of Minecraft biomes here, but it looks like there's going to be different environments throughout the ring, or different locations at least. Maybe there's going to be more of a deserty spot, maybe there's going to be more of a thicker forest, and they said that's a specific callback to Halo Combat Evolved. Now, what they call spiritual reboot is to call back to old iconic imagery and the feelings from the classic games. So this is still going to be a continuation of the story from Halo 5, but in terms of visuals and just the feelings you get from locations and the types of enemies you fight, they wanted that to be a kind of a reboot, like you're playing Halo Combat Evolved for the first time. They talk about how some areas were designed gameplay first and some were designed art first, which is pretty cool, I think, because, you know, you get gameplay first designs like, okay, we got this grapple shot idea, let's design a grapple shot parkour course. That's an example I created. That's not in the blog. You know, and then you get some spots that are like, okay, since we have this, you know, time of day system, why don't we design this cool nighttime-y sort of feeling cave system, or, you know, something like that. And then they're like, okay, let's do that. And then they think of a gameplay around that. So I think that's a good mashup of, like, you know, gameplay and art. The time of day system is one of, if not the largest graphical feature they implemented. And I've been in game design. I've dabbled in game design myself, and time of day and getting lights to work like that at all times of the day without it looking really ugly is pretty hard. So, you know, from the images they showed, update wise, it looks a lot better than it did before. So I have faith that it's going to work well, and I imagine it's also going to work in Forge as well, because, you know, if it's a whole dynamic lighting system, I can't imagine why it wouldn't just be applied to Forge. They say that the Forerunner obelisk structures might feel peaceful during the day, but ominous at night. And I don't know if that ties into the enemies that were in that nighttime photo shown earlier. They say that enemy structures like the Banished strongholds can be approached from any direction, or almost every direction, and that there are a ton of options, from charging in with a warthog to sneaking in through a cave system to sniping from a distance. One of their goals for Zeta Halo was to make it feel real, like a living creature, if you will, and they've talked about this before. They have two goals with Zeta Halo: to show what is happening in the current times with violent occupation of the Banished, and to create mystery and intrigue about the past and, quote, ultimate purpose, end quote. Players will not just experience the immediate story of Chief's reawakening to confront the Banished and Cortana, but also see glimpses of the future. Now, that, mixed with the ultimate purpose line, really makes me curious, because I'm not sure what they're talking about there, and obviously it's something big. I think they're talking about something that's going to be revealed in the campaign that's going to change the course of Halo. And this does confirm that you will be confronting the Banished and Cortana. This isn't just a Banished-focused campaign. Looks like Banished are kind of the people getting in your way of your ultimate goal of shutting down Cortana. A design philosophy they had for this game was to show me, don't tell me. And that's why they're not going to reveal exactly what they're talking about with those previous things I talked about. They say there's a golden story path, with the main story, but there's also some sort of side missions and things to explore, like an odd tower in the distance or a smoke signal over the ridge. And what is the source of that odd hum? That last one made me kind of confused because I wasn't exactly sure what that means if you just hear odd hums throughout the campaign. And then maybe the odd hums lead you to like Halsey's journal or whatever the collectibles are going to be. They talk about how the grapple shot allows players to go anywhere or nearly anywhere they can reach, and it allows players to get to spots they couldn't go before, which makes me think about the invisible walls that people have problems with in the newer Halo games. You know, like the old Halo games, you could get off onto cliffs and stuff, and there were no invisible walls. They just expected you not to go up there, and then you did. And so this makes it seem like there's not going to be really any invisible walls anywhere, and that you can basically just get anywhere you want to go. And with the grapple shot, you can kind of do that. Grapple shots can also be used for pulling weapons to you, grabbing fusion coils to throw, and grappling 2 enemies. And you can carry 3 other pieces of equipment that can be swapped at any time. Now, I don't know if that means there's only a total of 4 different pieces of equipment in the game, or if it's just you carry 4 at a time. And I don't know if that means you can swap out the grapple shot for something else, or if you're always stuck with the grapple shot and you just get, you know, the 3 others can be swapped out. I don't know. They also just mentioned that co-op has plenty of opportunities as well. They didn't really reveal anything about co-op specifically. I just thought it was good to throw in there that, you know, co-op is a thing in the campaign and you'll be able to play with your friends and do other things. It looks like it's probably going to be a 4-player co-op. Not sure. They are in the final months of designing the campaign, and they're close to the bug fix and performance stages, which will then take up from soon in the future to right before the game launches. Now, we have a quick look at some other pieces from other 343 employees. Some tidbits from there include that the graphics and lighting have been worked on a lot since the July demo, and they've shown that before. Or talked about it before at least. Now they're regularly reviewing all Xbox versions of Infinite, and they are committed to delivering good visuals on all platforms. So, you know, there were kind of demands coming out saying that Xbox One should be canned, and they should just focus on the Xbox Series X and PC. Well, they say they're still committed to delivering good visuals on all the platforms. The images that you saw earlier are all from PC. That's something to take note on, and that they also said that, you know, in April, they're going to be talking more about the PC and what you can expect from that. They also say to ensure that you're signed up for the Halo Insider program so that you're ready for when the time comes for Infinite. So just another reiteration that they are going to have an inside build for Halo Infinite at some point in the future. Now, they also talk about how they've made an out-of-bounds HUD warning with some sort of lore-related humor in the HUD. I don't know exactly what that means, but maybe text appears when you're out of bounds or something. Out of bounds is kind of interesting. That might be another confirmation that there's no invisible walls, that you just are allowed to walk out of bounds. You know, I don't know what the extent of the out of bounds are. I wouldn't get too worried about like restricting movement considering everything else they've talked about in like the last 3 blog posts about how you can do anything, so I don't know. Now, last little tidbit on the Forge, they say that different teams have been using Forge in different capacities, which is making Forge better overall. I don't exactly know what that means. Maybe that means like the level design team and multiplayer teams are making maps in Forge at least to test them, and then making it in-game or whatever. I don't know, but that's just something to note. I'm excited. I'm a big Forger, and I'm excited to hear more about Forge in the coming months. And now we have some closing words from Joe Staten. He is the king at writing some very inspiring pieces of text about their games. So, as you read this month's update and look at the screenshots, you might have the same question I did when I joined the team last fall. What kind of game is Halo Infinite? Infinite's world is incredibly large, and its vast combat zones connect seamlessly to each other. Its vistas are filled with adventures that entice you to stray from the Golden Path story missions. From a distance, it might appear that we're building an open-world game, but that's not really the case. We're making a Halo game, a sandbox shooter where our goal is to make you feel like the most powerful actor in a rich, emergent sci-fi combat simulation. For example, if you zoom in to some of this month's screenshots, you'll catch glimpses of the wildlife that inhabits the ring. Halo Infinite's campaign doesn't have a crafting system, however, and you won't spend time hunting and skinning animals to make better gear for Master Chief. Spartans wear Mjolnir's assault armor. They don't need leather boots. What you will spend time doing is plummeting from a rocky overlook into the heart of an enemy patrol, eliminating their leader with a well-stuck plasma grenade, using your grapple shot to pull his power weapon off the ground and into your hands, and then empty its magazine into the rest of the patrol, scattering the nearby wildlife back into their burrows. Which is to say, we've designed Halo Infinite so that you're freer than you've ever been to do what Spartan super soldiers do best: survey a battle space, plan your attack, engage the enemy, deal with whatever surprises the sandbox throws your way, and then rearm for the next battle. What's different this time is that you have more freedom than ever before to choose your path through the world. Follow a hidden cave system into a well-guarded fortress, wind your warthog through a fog-filled mountain pass, capture a Banshee and fly to a floating ring fragment across a gap of stars. A strong narrative remains at the heart of this Master Chief's adventure, and your journey between story missions is entirely up to you. So then, what kind of game is Halo Infinite? It's the most open and adventure-filmed Halo game ever. It's the Halo game we could only dream about making 20 years ago, and we can't wait for you to explore it. And that is what Joe Staten wrote at the end of this Inside Infinite blog. Incredible words. I'm really happy with everything they talked about here. Not too excited about the next update on audio, just because they've posted tons of audio in the past, and we kind of got to look at that, but whatever. I'm sure it'll be interesting still. Now, you can tweet at 343 using the hashtag Ask343 and ask some questions about this, and they could answer that in a future video like they did for last month. And that's all that is in this blog post. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching this recap. Subscribe if you're interested. I got some more cool content coming soon, and I will see you in the next video.